How's it going, everyone? Nate Rathman here from Spiritual Stewardship. Today I'm recording a video on receptivity, or being in the receiving mode. Different background today. This is what I call Site B, also known as the bedroom office, because the kids are all home from school right now. So before I get started, I just want to remind everyone that the reason I'm making these videos is to kind of document my own personal journey of spiritual growth, and to hopefully talk about things that are resonant with other people who are also in a period of expansion and exploration in their own spiritual journey. So that's really the goal here, is to just create some content out there so that we know that we're not alone. As we're changing and going through this process of spiritual development, that there's other people who are dealing with lots of rapid change, and yeah, just trying to make videos that kind of speak to that process. So today we're talking about receptivity, or receiving, and I have a long journey of not being very good at receiving for most of my life. I spent a lot of time being a kind of busybody and creating value for other people by constantly doing. And that paradigm doesn't leave a lot of space for receiving. So I was always doing, always overgiving. A lot of that was to manage my own anxiety and a way to feel validated by the world. So when you're in that place of always giving, always doing, never receiving, you manage your energy very differently than you do when you're in this kind of give and take with the universe. You're always pushing. It's a lot of masculine energy. It's a lot of doing energy. It's not a lot of receiving energy. It's not a lot of feminine energy. I was doing that again to kind of manage my own anxiety and try to control things, even though it wasn't really helping me. It helps for a certain phase of your life, and then I think you see the shortcomings, or you start to realize, I'm exhausted all the time, I'm always doing things, why isn't anyone helping me? If you're an overgiver and you find yourself asking that question, why isn't anyone ever helping me, you should probably look in the mirror and say, no one's helping me because I am not someone who is open to receiving help from others. So one of the first things that I did was just started to acknowledge that I wasn't particularly good at receiving, and that I was working on it. So receiving compliments, taking them in, thank you, even though it was hard to hear. Receiving help from others. Maybe if I knew I could do it right or better than them, I would still accept help from others, because it's part of just like working that muscle of being receiving, and kind of in a dance or a co-creation with the energy of other people. And then after you do that for a while, it feels like you start to get a little more comfortable with the whole idea of receiving. And then you start to move into a little more nuance. And that's when I started realizing, okay, I don't need to constantly be receiving. I can turn it on and turn it off. And this was something that I learned from Dougal Fraser. He's somebody that I've taken courses from, and I've read many of his books, and I love him. And I took a class from him where we talked about energy management, and one of the things we talked about was when it's appropriate to have your kind of intuition turned on, or your receptivity open, and when it's appropriate to turn it down and turn it off. And one of the things we talked about was like when you're in a grocery store or you're at the airport, you probably don't want to be in an overly receptive mode. You want to be kind of controlling your energy, containing it a little bit, making sure that you're managing yourself, because there's a lot of energy swirling around in places like that. So that's like a nuance that started to develop after I got good at receiving. Then I'm like, okay, I don't have to receive everything. I get to use discernment and judgment and intention about when I want to be receptive mode or not, and then discernment and judgment, or discernment, I'll say over judgment, but using, you know, thinking about energy coming in and saying, is this something that I actually want to take in? Just because something is offered to you, both a physical thing or an energetic thing, a gift or advice or energy of someone else in terms of like maybe empathy or compassion, you are still ultimately a sovereign being and you get to choose whether or not you take that in or whether or not you say, oh, I appreciate the offer, but I'm good. And you can do that both physically with actual objects, or you can do that kind of energetically where you just say, you know, in your mind, I see that you're offering that, and no, thank you. I'm okay. I'm complete. And you are. So yeah, that's kind of a lot of this has been stuff that is related to interacting with people in the outside world, like real life kind of situations. And now I want to talk a little bit about how all of that stuff relates to the divine or co-creating with source or receiving energy or messages from the universe, which again, to be in the receptive mode, to receive manifestations, you have to it works best, I'll say that it works best if you allow, if you're in a mode where you are allowing energy to come in. And I think of these times as the times when I'm doing some of my practices that set up my day. Like, so in the morning I'm moving into the receptive mode when I'm doing journaling. I move into the receptive mode if I decide to meditate or take a walk in nature. I'm moving into the receptive mode when I sit and I contemplate and I just have a moment where I am opening myself up to the universe and saying, I'm ready to receive, whether that's a download, an inspiration, a hunch, whatever that is. I'm willing to receive. I'm excited about what's going to come in, and so that's using intention, coupling it with setting up the stage. So that's like, whether it's the practice or putting yourself in the right environment, like a quiet room or in nature. Yeah, and that stuff is really important because that's how the universe is going to cue us in to different things that maybe we wouldn't have normally known just going about our normal life. So little course corrects, little hunches, say, you might want to say yes to that thing that somebody offered you a couple days ago. All of those kind of things happen when we get quiet and when we open up a dialogue with the universe and say, I'm willing to, co-create with my higher self. And then you just, as that stuff is coming in, you're trying to figure out, like, is this my mind or is this actual source, which I think we all struggle with, at least I do. I move into a place where I want to use my intuition. I want to gut check. If I think about this thing, am I expanding? Am I getting excited? Is my energy lifting? When I think about this thing, am I contracting? Is my energy getting smaller? Am I not feeling excited? Those are all really good ways of cluing into whether or not what you're receiving from the universe is like an actual download or something from your higher self, or is it just a piece of programming from culture, from your ego mind, trying to keep you safe, coming in. When you take a moment, it often becomes very clear. The ego is full of shoulds and negative comments and things that are restrictive. The universe, when you are receiving messages, are often these subtle, beautiful messages that carry, just notes of openness, receptivity, love, and light. Yeah. So, that's my video today on being in the receiving mode or enacting the idea of receptivity. I'd love to know what you think. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and I should be making another one coming up soon, and hopefully I'll be back in my normal spot, or maybe I'll take you guys back out on the trail like I did before. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.